Stats SA is telling us that unemployment has increased in the first quarter of this year to 27.6%. And more concerning is that young people between the ages of 15 and 24 are the worst affected. The unemployment figure among the youth is now at an all-time high of 55.2%. The situation continues to deteriorate, but can it be reversed? Well, would like to believe it can, and it should be. My guests tonight are Youth Employment Services CEO, Dr. Tashmia Ismail-Saville, and the CEO of Mngoma Empowerment Group, Mzi Mngoma. Pleasure to have both of you with us on the program.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Tashmia, last year when we heard about yes, we said, well, a huge number of jobs going to be created. The president mentioned, what, 500,000 opportunities. I'm not sure if it was over a period of time or it was for the first year, but how's progress been so far?
It absolutely was over a period of time. I think realistically, it takes time to build the infrastructure to generate sustainable jobs. We're very excited to say that we're almost at the 17,000 mark. We've done this in under 6 months. We're doing an average of about 850 jobs a week. So it's a fantastic, good news story in a market where we're seeing this sort of drop. In a few weeks' time, we'll hit our 20,000 mark, which means we'll make up for the jobs lost in the mining sector through one program, which is impressive. And as we snowball and start to build more and more of the types of models, you mentioned you'd been to our Tembisa hub,
Yes,
where you met our entrepreneurs, the fact that we're growing and exporting produce from Tembisa. Those are the types of jobs that are creative and innovative, and that's how we're going to get to the big numbers the president's calling for.
And how are you going about this? Because, you know, generally we talk about jobs being created as if somebody sits in an office somewhere and puts the numbers together and says, tomorrow I'm going to be allocating jobs all over the place. I'm sure it's a much more focused, there's a much more focused way in which you do this. Tell me.
So there's a lot of work going on the back end on the economics plan, the economic strategy. So we have a fantastic benefit from the DTI, an amendment to the Codes of Good Practice, that if a company invests in youth employment opportunities, they can get 1 or even 2 levels up on the BEE scorecard. So this is wonderful because we have a benefit to business if they invest in these youth jobs. So that's the one stream. The second stream is this economics value chain approach, where we're not just looking for companies who are placing jobs, we're looking for the right sectors, we're looking for the right spaces for these jobs to happen, that they're sustainable. So Investec was one of the first companies to start rolling their youth. They did 1,270 jobs, but they placed them in amazing sectors in tourism and hospitality. Their first youth are already completing, and they've got something like a 94% absorption rate. So it tells us that if we make these jobs happen with good planning and good infrastructure, your previous guest was talking about bringing down the cost of data, this is one of the ways in which we can create amazing jobs in the digital space. And these digital jobs overlap even in agriculture. If you look at our Tembisa hub, the farm that we've got there is an aquaponics and hydroponics facility, totally technology-driven, high output, multiple harvests. So you can create jobs with technology today that are just a lot more sustainable and give people a better, more exciting future, especially for youth. They want jobs in sectors that have movement and look a little bit more sexy.
Well, Mzi, you are doing unique things with your group, right? The Mngoma Empowerment Group. Tell me more about the kind of assistance service you provide to the youth and how they are benefiting from your support.
Thank you so much, Pratim. What we do, we're doing skills development. And we empower organizations, we empower individuals, of course, to assert themselves, to sell themselves, to sell their skills. And exactly now, in terms of the youth specifically, we have discovered that many of them are not ready, for the workplace. Now we've got, workplace readiness programs for them that empowers them, because indeed, when we check, because we're dealing with them on the ground, on the cold face, because we have discovered that a whole lot of them, they want employment, but believe me, Pratim, they are not ready, most of them.
Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of pressure on young people to become entrepreneurs, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's not easy
to
run, including professionals know that
Yeah.
it's difficult to run your own business.
Yes.
So in this environment where we're talking about entrepreneurship with young people who are not ready
Yes.
for jobs, for that matter,
Yeah.
how can we change the language and give them the opportunity to experience the workplace?
Yeah.
I mean, from your experience, I know that Tashmia, and yes, you are trying that, but the number is scarily too high.
Yeah, but tell me, in our end, we're dealing with the youth from the communities, from disadvantaged backgrounds. So these are the young people that have got their hunger, and a whole lot of them, yes, indeed, they want employment. But now we also encourage them to say, in as much as there is a big gap in terms of them being absorbed in the workplace. However, they can also venture into entrepreneurship, because that's exactly what we do in that. For example, what we do, we register them to own their own businesses, but not only that, but there are those who are passionate about community development as well. Yeah. So we assist them in terms of getting them ready as well to do something with their hands. And thirdly, we also say to them, there are also ways in which they can be able to feed themselves, in terms of some of them to get better education, but not only that, but to venture into the FET colleges, for instance. So we're encouraging them to do technical work as well. So in our end, that is our contribution. And we see a lot of them saying, wow, I did not know that I can venture into mechanics. I did not know that I can go and be a plumber. Yes.
Which now that you're talking about skills,
yes, sir.
Especially in the artisanal space.
Yes, sir.
Artisans, that the TVET colleges seem to be left on their own to attract the young people to come in.
Yeah.
But we don't hear much about the provincial governments, for instance, assisting those TVET colleges by giving work to the graduates who come out of TVET colleges, or the municipalities themselves. I'm not sure. I mean, whenever we talk about this, I'm imagining it. It's easier to deal with the information that we're getting now if you live in a city like Joburg.
Yeah.
But what about in the Eastern Cape, in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga? Surely there's more that can be done there.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, one of the tricks that we might be missing in terms of entrepreneurship is you actually have a very large number of tiny businesses that do start up in these communities, in township communities, peri-urban areas. But they don't survive. They live at the subsistence level. Those are also entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs aren't always the high-tech businesses, Silicon Valley. A good mom-and-pop shop, if it grows, can employ up to 10 people.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's also a small business development support system that is necessary that can allow these small businesses to be the absorber of a lot of young people, because they're not looking for the high-end skills that these urban centers are looking for. So one of the tricks is to support small business as the absorber. And in terms of the FET colleges, here, it's not so much about more government intervention in FETs, but more business intervention. Can business start to involve itself in the development of the curricula, so that when those youth are coming out and the equipment, when they're coming out, the skills that they have are immediately relevant to be able to place them into the business sector. I think there's a big gap between what the current education system looks like in those colleges and what businesses demand. So it's about closing that gap.
All right, let's talk to Tseko, who is joining us from Soweto. Tseko, welcome.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I trust you well. Welcome.
Okay, thanks. No, you know what? This thing, I do understand whatever is trying, the government is trying to do and so on. But the thing is, us as youth, we are coming up with ideas. And ideas that we don't ask anything from them, and then we are trying to save our country as a whole. Because on my side, I did come up with some suggestions and approaching municipalities and stuff like that, because I'm working with water meters. I'm currently working. But the thing is now, when you go to them and say, I have this idea, I'm working with this kind of thing, it doesn't need your graduates or your degree also. If I can train people for you guys, and then you guys can maintain maybe your water meters and stuff like that, so that you save water and stuff like that. Those people in those departments, they are telling you straight that we cannot be able to do this. And then you are offering your service as a citizen of the country, not asking anything from them. And then it's you are taking someone's job who's in certain positions. Because you walk around the streets here, you see like waters has been breached, water meters have been breached, waters are leaking, water leaking on the streets and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we are coming up with those kind of things, but you don't get the answers. And then even if you are doing it for free, you want to like save the country, but there's nothing like that that you're getting from the government or anything else.
Yeah. And Tsako, thanks. A very important point. This and interesting at the same time. Zee, you want to comment on that?
Yeah. Well, it is interesting what Tsako is raising. But now the big question is, what will happen to a day where the government says, look, we don't give you support? Remember, as an entrepreneur, you provide a solution. As an entrepreneur, you identify a gap, you identify a problem, then you provide a solution. Now, if you can't provide a solution then for yourself and rely on somebody else to assist you, what if that help is not happening? Because where we are operating from, Pratim, because we're running a lot of seminars and training sessions where we put young people together and we give them these skills to say, there's a better way in which you can assert yourself and in which you can market yourself. But more than anything else, once you have taken a position of becoming an entrepreneur, chances are you may not necessarily, acquire all the assistance that you may need. Then what happens to you?
Yeah, but I want to continue on the same vein.
Yes.
In the same vein on this question that was asked. Because the question is about the public sector itself.
Yes.
Whether the officials are geared to dealing with ideas that come from entrepreneurs and other people who would like to provide services to the government, the way they're being managed. If you can comment on that, Tashmir. But the other point is the number of initiatives that we have, especially from the funding agencies. I've heard anecdotally from a lot of young people that they actually wonder what those agencies are for because the money is not going to them. They wonder where the money is going to.
Yeah, it's
Two parts to my question.
I think that is a very important point. So just to clarify, YES receives no funding from government. YES's revenue model is that we are corporate facing. We work with companies to get them to unlock job creation opportunities for young people. And when we assist these corporates in placing those young people, we monitor and evaluate for the whole year and build an exit strategy. And our revenue model is built from there. But I absolutely have to agree that we've got to be careful that we don't spend more money on the administration of things than the actual delivery of programs, that we've got to consolidate and digitize. So the entire YES system is digital. So we have a beautiful cutting-edge work readiness training program of 24 modules, and the whole thing is delivered on a smartphone. To youth with films and animations and really allowing them to learn, to have a coach or mentor in their pocket. Because if you look at the networks of young people in marginalized communities, which is where the unemployment rates are really high, 6 out of 10 people there are unemployed. So your network is mostly unemployed people, so the role models on how you run a business, the role models on how you go to work and do this work readiness stuff is just not there. And so I have to agree that some young people definitely need the assistance. They need to be nurtured because the system has let them down and they're not quite sure how to enter. But once you give them a few tools, then you watch them fly, because the natural creativity and confidence of a young person to try things out when we're a little bit hesitant because we become risk averse as we get older, that can be unlocked. But you do need support structures.
Right, let's talk to Patricia. And Patricia, you're in Joburg. Welcome. Would like to hear your view.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm actually a publisher of Pioneer Community News, whereby I work a lot with youth, and I'm supporting the statement that the fact that the youth usually are not ready for the market. We have acted so far since 2005 as a training hub, basically a bridge training between the after college before corporate. And we are an independent community news press room, whereby, of course, we couldn't afford to have permanent journalists. So that actually led us to be working with youth a lot. I am supporting wholly the statements that the skills are really lacking with the youth. So my suggestion would be, as far as media industry is concerned, perhaps if that could be added as a subject in the colleges as well, to say now how in encouraging entrepreneurship in the media industry, especially in print.
Okay. Thanks very much, Patricia. And of course, we can tell by the nature of the calls, that we're getting them from the city.
Indeed.
We're not getting them
Yes.
from the outlying areas.
Yeah.
Are there any unique ideas that you see that can be of use, especially in the semi-rural, rural parts of the country?
This is that value chain model we're talking about, that you scout those areas to find economic opportunities. So we've got this hub in Tembisa. The next one we're building is Alex and Mpumalanga. And in Mpumalanga, we've got a beautiful piece of community land near Bushbuck Ridge, but very close to the whole tourism belt of the Kruger Park. So there's this entire economy of the park that the local communities can benefit from. And what these YES facilities, we call them YES hubs, do is they drive technology and know-how into the community, and we train youth to take up jobs and service that economic sector, in this case the tourism and hospitality industry. And so we start to create these bridges between the communities that are more marginalized, that haven't been participating in the economy of the park, and now they can, because you're giving them cutting-edge skills and technologies to be able to do that.
Well, we need more initiatives and initiatives that work and can create employment for many, many of the young South Africans who are marginalized at this time. Well, it's a, we're sitting on a time bomb, basically, and it's a crisis situation.
It's exploded already.
Absolutely.
It is.
But it can be turned around.
Absolutely.
And we should put our shoulders to the wheel.
If you join YES.
Yeah.
Paula Moses, who
Well,
said
I've joined.
being a citizen is not a status.
I've joined, yes.
We want some YES youth around the studio.
As a youth, I've joined, yes. Tonight. Thank you. Still to come, the Nedbank Cup final and Banyana Banyana heading to the World Cup in France. That's our next discussion.